Hello, and welcome. Welcome once again to the Start, Scale, and Succeed podcast. It's the only podcast that grows with you through all 7 stages of your journey as a founder. I'm your host, Scott Ritzheimer, and there's something that I see quite often. It's founders who've built successful companies. They're generating multiple millions of dollars in revenue. It's like the goal that we all start off with, right? They've got managers running departments. Things look good on paper. They might even be writing magazine articles about you. But inside, you can't help but shake this nagging feeling that there is money leaking out somewhere that you can't see. Where does it all go? You're working harder than ever. You're making more money than ever, at least on the top line. But for some reason, you're keeping less and less of it every year. You're making decisions that might be powered by financial reports, but you don't fully trust them or maybe even understand them. And no matter which way you turn, it seems like something's wrong. And there's a financial piece associated with all of it. And so what's happening here, we call this the disillusioned leader stage. You guys know that. But what makes this so dangerous is that you're not enough to handle all the day-to-day stuff yourself. And your financial systems haven't evolved to the point where you have the data or the confidence in that data that you need to succeed at this level. It's kind of like you're flying a 747 at night and still trying to navigate by looking out the window. It doesn't really work very well. And the cost of getting it wrong at this altitude is a big deal. Well, today's guest has spent nearly 2 decades in high-stakes finance, and he knows exactly what founders in this stage need to see in their numbers. Stas Sukhinin has over 19 years of experience in the financial sector, where he's played a key role in developing and launching mezzanine loan products that help shape the Eastern European market. At just 29 years old, he became a senior partner at one of the region's largest mezzanine loan providers, leading a team of 20 finance professionals and managing a $450 million loan portfolio. Today, Stas works as a fractional CFO for business owners generating at least $3 million in annual revenue by helping them to unlock greater value and profitability from their companies. Well, Stas, welcome to the show. So excited to have you here. It's been a minute coming. I'm glad to be able to get you on this show. I'm wondering if we could start off just briefly, what is a mezzanine loan and why does that matter to folks that are listening today?
Yeah, thank you, Scott, for having me. Mezzanine loan, it's kind of like a complicated debt with the equity component, and you need this when you run out of the options to secure a debt. And it's usually for companies that growing, they have at least, 5, 10, 20 millions of annual revenue. And they get a certain senior debt because it's hard to get mezzanine debt if you don't have a senior debt. It's usually mixed. And it's kind of like you have a cap. If we're talking about in terms of EBITDA, like how many EBITDA you can get as a senior loan. And then on top of that, you can get a mezzanine. It's kind of like a debt and it's a high interest rate, but you can postpone to certain interest payment and principal payment. And it can help you grow or help you to achieve these strategic goals. But you need to be very, very cautious with this instrument. It's just it's risky and it's riskier than even like a debt. And you take it when you kind of out of other debt options.
Yeah. So you've seen a lot of dire circumstances being in that space for so long. So when you look at a company's financial reports for the first time, and having done this so many times, what would you say are some of the most common problems that you see that they don't even know that they have inside the organization?
Yeah, across the board, across all sectors, across, I would say, even different stage of companies. I think to the stage when they hire some fractional CFO, full-time CFO, then they kind of figure out before that, it's almost like out of 10 owners, business owners that you meet, nine will tell you the same thing. Oh, I have an accountant, or I have this bookkeeper, or I have this CPA, or I have this, like sometimes they call it controller. I just onboarding a new client. It's like a 20 plus million network of clinics, and like the same story. Like the owner said, like, yeah, I have a controller, like everything like is perfect in terms of financials, and of course it's like it's disaster, and it's all the time owners like think that they hire like the biggest mistake. The owner thinks that if they hire like an accountant, bookkeeper, CPA, whatever like the title is, they financials is sort out, they kind of in the best shape, and if they and because like there's not really kind of like this feedback loop, right? Like they don't really, if they don't engage with bankers, if they don't have a board of directors, if they don't have like someone external like user of these financials, it's only them. Like they don't like see the problem, right? Like and they start seeing the problem when like they look at the QuickBooks or like whatever they use, and they see like a certain number, and they thinking they making money, but like their bank account is lower and lower, and or vice versa. They kind of, it's kind of like it's known, it's the best financial framework that a lot of business owners use, especially like first time founders. It's called like a bank account check. Like they go to the bank account like on a regular basis, like I know once a week, like once a month, and if the time then they log in the number is higher than the previous time, they thinking that they doing good. If it's lower, they think maybe like they underperform. It's kind of like how they measure their financial success.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's the biggest issue, and it's make for me in terms of marketing harder to appeal because they don't see the issue, right? And usually it's very very late when they kind of like they really like they have so much debt, or like they like owe like they vendors so much money that they can go to this, and especially it's very very tricky. Then your revenue is growing, and they thinking, oh, my issue is just like I need more capital because like my revenue growing. But there's so many cases when your business is growing, but you're actually losing money on each unit of what you're selling, and you need to be cautious. And like I remember one call, this guy with Upwork, and he said like he needs help on a fractional CFO, and I had this call, and he was doing consumer goods business, and it's like heavily, you need to invest heavily in inventory. And if you don't properly follow, like consider your margins, gross margins, like you know how much you get like this inventory and how much you sell, it's like you can sell, but you're actually losing money on each sale.
Right.
And this guy said like, yeah, I was doing it for 15 years. Now I'm like, I owe like a few millions. Like I almost run out of the inventory. I don't have anything, and it's just like I'm about to file a personal bankruptcy. And at this point, it's kind of like too late. It's just like too late. And I really, you know, I really feel sorry for him, and it's just like I really want to help him, and it's just like I feel kind of this pain, right? Like this personal story behind, like he was working for 15 years on this business, and like end up just with the like huge pile of debt and nothing in there. And it's just like it's super important for owners. Just like hire someone. Like it costs you like I don't know, like 1 hour, 2 hours, like any experience. Fractional CFO, like even like a CFO, they're just looking at your financials. It needs like 2-3 hours to speak with accountant, like to just get like a sense. Like I don't know. For me, it's like I speak with accountants like 1 hour, 2 hours, and I can tell you with like a certain like the quality of your financials and what's happening in the business.
Yeah, it's so important because one of the things that one of the things that I think strikes folks as odd is like, how is that even possible? Like how everyone's sitting there thinking, oh, we're not selling anything at a loss, you know, yet there's probably a very big percentage that are selling at least something at a loss. Yeah. Why is that so hard to see at this stage?
Yeah, because I think it's kind of like this transition. When you start selling, like your business is very simple, like from the very beginning, usually, right? And especially if it's like bootstrapped, like I know you start selling like one item, you know the purchasing price, like I know if you order it from China, you know like how much you pay, like the custom broker, you know like and it's kind of okay. And I bought this inventory, I brought it, and then I sold it for like I know the average price, and that's it, right? But then like as you start ordering more, you expand your assortment, you have like more units and different kinds of units, you're ordering from different vendors, then your terms changing. Someone it's advanced, someone's you pay later, someone's you receive kind of like a factoring financing, and then you like use different vendors and you pay difference. Like you completely start losing track of what's happening if you don't track it properly. And I can tell you that accountants, they not really like understand your business until you really like pay attention and like bring attention, like their attention to certain things. Like they don't will go like your invoices and comparing like, oh, you ordered this kind of like inventory for this price, or this is gonna be discount, or this on the discount. It's like it's not there. And like for example, inventory is one thing that so many businesses screw up, and you need to be on top of this from the very very beginning. It's kind of like it's so crucial. Like if you're doing consulting, you can be kind of like more kind of like not really looking for like certain financials, because I know you have a project, you hire like a contractor, so you have a team, they perform, you're probably gonna be okay. But like with other type of businesses, yeah, especially if it's inventory, like you need to be on top of this and knows like the cost of goods sold for each part. And there's so many like kind of these nuances, and if you start missing them, like you don't understand what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it what is it about the CFO approach that's so different? Why is it that what your accountant is doing or what your CPA is doing, is it that it's wrong? What's the difference?
Yeah, the difference is huge. I kind of like in our like sphere, like our sector of fractional CFOs, it's like a known thing that now accountants and accounting firms, they start providing this, they call it like advisory business, just expand their margins, their revenue, and they start providing CFO service. And they mentality and their approach is so different from the what's like CFO should do. And they thinking it's about like providing numbers, right? It's what they do, right? Like accountants, what they do, they about history. So like the main difference between accountants, bookkeepers, and CFOs, it's like bookkeepers, accountants, they look in the past, right? Like they're looking, okay, last month, last quarter, last month, look at, okay, what's happened. We'll reconcile like all the transactions, add something that we think we need to add, or like I know founders, business owners told them to add, and then it's going to be about past. Like CFO, it should be proactive and looking in the future. It's one thing. Second, it should look strategically like, okay, what's we gonna do? Like, are we like how we if we, like it's most of the time about growth, how we can grow. Like, should we get like a debt, or like should we finance bootstrap? Like, should we expand? I know I'm working with the outpatient clinics. How we open like new 5 clinics? How we finance it? Like, what's the maximum lease that we need to sign for each clinic? What we can afford, what we can afford, right? Like, what's the location? Like all these strategic questions. And accountants, they're not wired. They just they don't even understand strategic part. They are not get used to looking into the future, and they are not proactive. But I think like the main differentiator, and it's a big one. You should, like, I'm as a CFO, I have these obligations. If I thinking that the business owner is doing something wrong, I should tell him. Like, it's his decision or her decisions at the end of the day. But I should be very explicit and provide details why she's or he's about to do certain things. It's gonna be detrimental to his business. And accountants they never like they not get used to escalate and kind of like say no to certain things.
Right.
And I think it's super important. And it's actually like when we're talking about like these stages, it's a good point, because like, yeah, they I see the founders when they get like into 3, 4, 5 millions, they could like hiring like this team of like low mid kind of managers, like I know sales managers, like the persons who's responsible for bringing deliverables. But they very, very hesitate to bring any C-level, and it's, of course, it's expensive, right? Like, it's expensive, and they kind of like very, very hesitant to bring anyone like a C-level. And of course, like financials is not their first choice. They either bring like a marketing person, or like a chief operating officer, or like someone who is like really into the business operations. And it means that, especially if it's a solo business owner, is nobody who can tell them what is going wrong. Because like
Right.
usually the team underneath is just like executing orders or like
Yes.
executing like business process. There's nobody who can tell them no. And accountants and CPAs and like tax advisor not gonna say it. It's just like they will file if they're missing certain information, they will ask and follow up, but they not even in this mode where they need to challenge the business owners, I think, right? And it's just like kind of like be persuasive and like be kind of like, okay, like there's one side how you look at the business, but like there's another side you also need to consider.
Yeah. It's crazy when you think about it, because what you really need at this stage is someone to tell you no. Appropriately and skillfully, and a great fractional CFO can certainly be a source of that. Not that that's all that they do, but being able to speak up when something's wrong. There's a little bit of an emperor has no pants kind of a thing going on there. But Stas, there's a question that I have for you. I want to make sure we get to it because it's something I like to ask all my guests. And the question is this: what would you say is the biggest secret that you wish wasn't a secret at all? What's that one thing you wish everybody watching or listening today knew?
Yeah, I think like the biggest secret that, especially in the very beginning, like you need to go like as a business owner, you need to unfortunately you need to review like your financials. You need to be on top of the financials. I think it's a big secret, and I think like very few people actually, even like accountants, like they don't really kind of like tell this, right? Like they don't really explicitly say like, oh, you need to review or you need to go, like like some like and business owners like they don't log in into the QuickBooks for like I don't know like 6 months, right? Like I think like the biggest secret, you need to be on top of the financials like in the very beginning. It's just there's no way around, or hire someone who will review this if you cannot afford it. And I understand there's a certain cost, and it's probably in the very beginning it's kind of like very costly and you cannot afford it, but that means that you need to do it yourself. And I think when you, especially in the very beginning, like business owners wearing like multiple hats, right? Like they're like chief marketing officer, they chief like operating officer, right? Like, and they need to be chief financial officers. Like it's just like they can avoid it otherwise.
Right.
It's just at some point it will stuck them. It's like it's not if, it's when. Like they can be for a while kind of like not paying attention if they're growing, like, and margin like originally is really good, but at some point it will stuck them. It's like they will run into the issue.
So Stas, there's some folks invariably listening to this that have a good accountant, they have a good CPA, but they're realizing that's just not enough for the business that they're building now. Where can they find more out about you? Where can they learn more about the work that you do?
Yeah, so I have the website, the Sorso, THESORSO.com. So you can go, you can structure a call, and I highly, highly, highly encourage. I mean, it's just like an hourly rate for experienced fractional CFO, I don't know, $200. Like spend, like you probably spend, I don't know, on a dinner, like on Friday night, like kind of the same money. Just get a different perspective. Even you think like you have a perfect financial team, like your CPA is amazing, like answering all your questions, like everything is perfect. Just get a second opinion. Like I can tell you, like when you go to the doctor, like in these like big decisions to make, right? Like you probably will go ask for the second opinion if it's like a surgery, a big kind of like intervention. The financial itself, right? Like you don't want to spend like years and years working, thinking that your margin is X or your net profit is one number, but it's actually completely different.
Yeah. So true. So true. We'll get that link in the show notes for everybody. Well, Stas, thanks so much for being here today. Really a privilege and honor having you on the show. And for those of you watching and listening, you know your time and attention mean the world to us. I hope you got as much out of this conversation as I know I did, and I cannot wait to see you next time. Take care.